This step, secession, once taken, can never be recalled. We and our posterity shall see our lovely South desolated by the demon of war. Alexander Stephens, Vice President of the Confederate States of America. Chapter 2, The Demon of War. The election of Abraham Lincoln, an anti-slavery Republican, as the 16th President of the United States was the last straw, triggering secession. One by one, Southern slave states declared secession from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America, led by Confederate President Jefferson Davis. This secession ignited the inevitable escalation. Fruitless efforts to find a political compromise fall on deaf ears. Advocates of armed insurrection and fire eaters roam the states with steel in their eyes. The public is aroused to volunteer, filling the ranks in order to quell the rebellion and serve the Union, or to secure independence from it. Following opening hostilities, President Lincoln calls for 75,000 volunteers for 3 months' service. This sparks incredulous protest and loud outcries among the southern states, setting off an irreversible political fire as more states abandon the Union. Now it's war. 75,000, 100,000, and even more. Soon, the largest armies ever seen on American soil muster, drill, and prepare for war. A war that is meant to be neat, short, and limited. The whole matter should be over by Christmas. But a dark shadow looms over the growing and inexperienced armies. Without a swift and decisive blow from the very onset of the war, there's every chance of a long, destructive, and brutally bloody civil war. Greedy foreign powers may even feel a desire to take a hand therein. Time is ticking for the newborn Confederacy, and the Union must act if it is to save all that it holds dear. Civil War. Further southern states secede. Confederate armies on the move. Europeans reluctant to take sides. The demon of war has awoken. Hey guys, I'm an asshole. Fuck you, demon of war. Now that the war is properly joined, we have a lot of things we need to do kind of hastily. The Confederates have a lead on us on recruiting and the length of time that an enlistment lasts. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here to company applications. I'm going to put that on auto placement and auto manage. I will probably turn that off again later on. I just don't want to deal with that right now because we have other things going on. You can also see there's a Confederate invasion here in Missouri. There's a little over 2,000 Missouri State Guards who are loyal to the Confederacy. Opposite, we have the Department of the West, but we only have 1,500 people there. We'll get back to the Army in a moment. Here you can see British intervention. There's a 30% chance, or like they like them 30%. Part of that's that King Cotton stuff I was talking about last time, as the South is putting pressure on them diplomatically by selling them cotton really good prices. That was a good sentence. So what we're going to focus on next is the Navy. If we come over here and click on the anchor, you can see we have 4 fleets. What we need to do is we need to shrink the economy of the Confederacy. We need a long-term and a kind of mid-term to short-term goal. The long-term is we're going to take from Winfield Scott, who I believe is in charge of our military. If I click on the right button, there he is. The Anaconda Plan. We want to blockade enemy ports and prevent them from being able to trade. And that does matter. If we look at strategy here, trade warfare, if you let that pop up, you can see through blockades and privateering how you can affect the enemy. In fact, we're already losing money because of, it looks like, probably privateering on their side. So let us go look at our fleets. You can just click on one and it'll take you to them automatically. Let's go find out where they all are. Whoa! Alright, so we're going to want to rearrange these. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the home squadron. We're going to have the home squadron come down here. Let's see, where are our Confederate ports? There's a port. There's a squadron of their own. There's a fort and a port. We're going to bring the home squadron probably right down around here. And we're going to set them up for blockading. In fact, if we click on this right here, we can manage the fleet. And so right now you can see the ships that are in here. And then we have other ships that are available. So we're just going to grab and drag some ships over to try and get this fleet up to a more respectable... Oh, USS Michigan, hell yes! A more respectable size. Some of them are not very impressive. Others are. We just want... We want some strong fleets. And in fact, very soon, we're going to start building some ships too. Ooh, the USS Constitution? Is that old Ironsides? We'll put them in there. And then the US John Hancock. Check out my cock. So we're going to start sending the home squadron down there. Let's see, the Atlantic Blockading Squadron, where are you? We're going to build this fleet up some too. Probably not quite as much. I want, ideally, to have at least 4 blockading fleets, but we're going to have to deal with what we can to start with. What do we got left? Maybe we'll give you one more. And then we can also, if we want to, you can construct a new ship. So we'll construct a new ship and order that ship to automatically deploy to them when they're ready. And you've got tons of choices here. Later on, ironclads and stuff aren't available yet, I don't believe. Later on, we'll get those. We're just going to go with... We're just going to go with the steam frigate. Right there. And technically, I think you can rename them. So we'll order one for them. Alright, so I did a little finagling. The Atlantic Blockading Squadron, when they're ready, will have 20 ships. Right now, they're waiting for the ships to get there. That's why these are ghost ships. Oh, scary! The Gulf Blockading Fleet, let's take a look at them. Let's get them some fleets. We're going to build them another ship, too. Let's build them... Ships can be expensive. We're going to build them just another steam frigate. These are a little older. These aren't ironclads, but we want to get them something that we know how to build pretty soon. We'll probably leave them with 19. That'll be sufficient. And then the Flying Flotilla. I think we're going to rename this fleet. We're going to put the rest of these guys in there. This is where I'm a little frustrated now. I want to build more ships, but our borrow rate is pretty low. I should have probably, last time I did policies, probably should have focused on finances. I would love to. You can now see the 3 months enlistment we automatically got because the war has happened. We didn't have to study that. The next thing we'll do when we're done with military is start working down this path to get longer enlistments. But then after that, we really need to start focusing on financing. So the Flying Flotilla, I don't think is going to have a home for now. And then we're going to have to wait a few days for these other fleets to really get their ships ready to go. What I want to do eventually is I'm going to probably either leave this fleet here or move it to blockade the Mississippi Delta. You know, New Orleans, their biggest port. One of our other ports we're going to bring down here either by Charleston or Savannah. And then the home squadron we will probably set up to blockade some of the ports up in here. One of the other things I guess I should show now that militaries are on the map, it uses more or less NATO nomenclature. A square with an X in the middle, if you're on the tactical battle map, is an infantry brigade. In this situation, it's an army. We can see the Army of the Potomac, which is right now the Confederate name. It'll later on maybe be a Union Army of the Potomac, has about 4,000 men. Opposite them, we have our Army of Northeastern Virginia, which has about 8,556 men. Now, if you're playing most war games, you'd be like, let's just run in there and attack them. But this game is a little different, and there's some stuff you really need to know, and if you don't know it, it can be very frustrating. The first times I played the game, I was frustrated because I was like, why won't my army move? Why won't my army do stuff? And I'll try to, in my own ignorant way, try to explain it here. So to start with, we have 4 different armies. You can see the Department of Pennsylvania, Northeastern Virginia. Let's see, we can kind of see some Confederate armies. We don't know everything about them. Technically, you can build spy stuff later on, like newspapers and whatnot. You got the Columbus, what is that? The Department of the Ohio, led by McClellan. Oh, I want to move him. Leaders matter a lot, and we'll get into that later. And then, of course, we've seen the army over here, the Department of the West. I don't want to recruit anyone right now, though, because if I recruit them, they're only going to have a 3-month enlistment. We're going to go through our personnel way too quickly on that. What we are going to do, though, is let's have McClellan. Let's have you redeploy to Cincinnati. That way you're closer to Kentucky. If they invade Ohio, they can come back. He will move there. There's a reason I'm saying that, obviously. Orders take time, right? See that time thing ticking down? I gave him an order, but there's a certain amount of time before he's going to be ready, before he gets the order, and then they're going to have different ways they can travel there, which, in fact, if I resend the order, and I hold it over there, I can say by rail, by sea, by river. Those are much quicker. Most of those, if it's by rail, will be done in your own territory. The things that are most important, arguably, are right here. Morale, it's easy to overlook morale. If your morale is really bad, if it gets blown out of the water and it's like 0, your army will keep retreating, no matter what. It takes a while to get that bad, but that can happen. I know when I first started playing the games in early access, I didn't understand that. I was like, why is my army run like bitches everywhere? The other thing is readiness. In your own territory, see, we are the blue states up here, the Union. Huzzah, boys, huzzah. If our army has a red readiness, this little line indicates where we are, they will still move. See, like, McClellan is moving now, even though he has really crappy readiness. It's deficient. If you want to move into enemy territory, though, where the enemy populace is not going to support you, they might be hostile, they don't like you, they might call you dirty names, you need to have a higher readiness. If not, your guys literally won't move. And so you really need to be in yellow or green to move into enemy territory, ideally in green. The other things that can affect that and matter are supply. Supply matters immensely. Without proper supply, you can literally have no stuff to shoot, no ammunition. So if we go to map settings, okay, we have show supply lines on. With McClellan's army, this orange thing shows where the supply is going. And when you go into enemy territory, you're going to want to build supply depots. We're not super worried about that right now. We're in our own territory. We should have supply in most regions. And you can get more in-depth in the supply. Like, here's ammunition. If it's nice and colored, you have it. If not, you're out of it. You hold over this, it'll show. McClellan needs more rifle ammunition. He is only 33% supplied with rifle ammunition, 100% supplied with artillery ammunition. Provisions, supply will be the same thing. Right now, they're totally supplied. And forage for your horses and the like. And once again, we're in our own territory. That's not a problem. Once we start to try and wage campaigns into enemy territory, or they try to come into our territory, that will greatly affect armies. And that's where readiness matters, too. Because if you get into enemy territory and your supply is gone and your readiness is crap, your army will get stuck. And that can be a giant disaster, one we'd rather avoid. And certainly it is, when you're learning the game, very much frustrating when you're trying to send an army into enemy territory and they don't move. The other thing is when the readiness is low and you're in enemy territory or your own territory, if they can move, they will move slower. So it makes a big difference getting it up there. The other thing, oh, what'd I say? Inappropriate. If we click here, we can manage the army. In fact, there are other options here. You can give different kinds of movement orders. You can pick an offensive or defensive stance. You can have them build depots or forts. These forts here matter. Sometimes if you come by a fort, which is a rectangle with like a little fort thing in there, you'll often have to take it if you want to keep moving forward. To get to supply depots too, this little image here, the rifle and the crate and the barrel, those are supply depots and will be very important as time goes on. Not to mention supply tends to travel down, rivers and roads and oceans. That will matter too. What's this? McClellan's at the destination. That's good news for us. He's the Department of the Ohio. You can rename units too. We will at some point. The camera, I don't know why the camera rotates when it does that. No, I rotated the camera like an idiot. I don't know why I itate. Why I'm an idiot. There's a lot of reasons. And in fact, why don't we'll pause a second. We'll go into the unit. If you click on Manage Army, it'll bring up the unit. You can go look at different units. You can also merge units. If you click Transfer, you can pick someone else to transfer units with. We're not going to worry about that right now. We'll kind of explain this quickly, though. The very top of an army is just the commander. In this case, it's McClellan. If we go to the Department of Pennsylvania, you can see it's Patterson. Below him will be a unit. A unit with an X is an infantry unit. Here's Duval and his West Virginia brigade. Here's Milroy and his Indiana brigade. You can see what kind of weapon they have, what their support back home is, how many men they are, how many are disabled. You can also promote and replace leaders. That is something we are going to get into before too long. If you click on Commander, you can see a commander's stats. Some of these matter more than others. Fame, I don't care about fame. Fame does matter. Famous people, more people want to fight for, people listen to better. Initiative is very important for like speed, but also getting your army ready. If we looked back at the readiness thing, somebody with a low initiative is very crappy at getting their army ready to go on the offensive. So McClellan, who we just looked at here, he's horrible at getting an army ready to go. He's a passive leader. You don't want passive leaders. You also have stats for leadership, which can affect fighting in battle, if I remember correctly. Administration, which can affect, I believe, supply. And then cunning also affects, I think, tactics and risks. And then you have perks here. So this guy's a brigadier general. He's a veteran. This officer saw combat before the Civil War, fighting in Mexico during the war. Even if war has changed since, he knows what to expect when the shells start bursting. Oh my lord! That's part of the reason the American Civil War was so violent and bloody, is that there were a lot of people who had actual war experience from the Mexican War. This guy's a West Point graduate. This officer has completed formal military studies in the military academy, making him a professional in the art of war and suitable to quickly adapt to higher command. And he's an engineer. Having served originally as an army engineer, this officer knows the value of field works. This makes his unit better in siege warfare and constructing and overcoming obstacles. That's going to be very important as the war goes on, not so much with him, as we get units built, as we fight, hopefully behind breastworks, I said breast, or barricades, parapets, trenches. And so to start with, there are some real concerns in case the Confederates make an early push. The other thing we want is, I want different commanders, but not everybody is ready to be a brigadier general. Now, we have the hindsight of history to have an idea of who some of the skillful and potential people are. The important thing is putting them in places where they can hopefully get better and then work their way up. Not to mention, I want to start a much bigger recruiting drive, but we can't do that until we're ready to do the militia acts, and we still have 6.8 days on the military policy we're working on. So let's get into the armies. Let me think a moment to decide which army I want to start changing the leadership structure in. Alright, so I'm looking through the commanders of our 4 different armies. Now, Harney, it's hard to say he has an army. He has a brigade of 1,574 men under Colonel Nathaniel Lyon. You can see his initiative is 2. Stats can go up as you go higher or lower. He's not a West Point graduate, but he is a veteran of the Mexican War, and he's a veteran, or a volunteer. Volunteered for duty and was appointed or elected to command. While lacking a formal military education, volunteers tend to be quick to adapt this new kind of modern warfare, and they tend to avoid personal conflicts, unlike professional or politically appointed officers. You will find that we will have politicians who are appointed as officers, and there can be feuds between officers where some officers will ignore commanders' commands. Fame can affect that, but also their attitude. What I'm looking at right now is initiative. He's cautious, but compared to the other commanders, McClellan sucks. He's passive. Patterson, in charge of the Department of Pennsylvania, is passive. And McDowell is passive. None of these guys are ready to lead any kind of an offensive war. So I need to go find commanders who can take care of that. The other thing, too, is Northern Virginia Army right here is organized a little differently. Under McDowell, he's got division commanders. We don't have corps yet. Division commanders. So Colonel Tyler doesn't command a unit directly. He commands these units below him. And Hunter commands these units below him. If you want to create a new division, you click on the double crosses here, and then you get another division commander, and you can build divisions under them. And that matters when you're on the battlefield, because you can just click a division commander, and then just grab that wing of the army. So if we want to get rid of McDowell, we click on McDowell, and then we're going to go to replace, and then I'm going to look through here a second, and try and find somebody that has better initiative, and nothing against Winfield Scott, hopefully somebody that's not a billion years old. Alright, so we're going to use this guy, Colonel Edward Sumner. We're going to promote him. We're going to replace... I forget where we replaced already. Was it Patterson? With Sumner, because he's got more initiative. I'm going to work my way through some of these guys in a bit, but we're going to do the commanders first of all. No, that wasn't Patterson. No, it was McDowell, I think I just replaced. So here's an example. I'm looking for McClellan's replacement right now, of a politician. See, politically assigned, this officer is acquired his rank thanks to political status. Commanding troops increases support in his home state, and that can matter if it's a home state that we can recruit from, because recruitment is based on what state. It's independent for each state. But he is apt to feuds. If removed from command, he will hurt support in his state. So I don't want him as a commander, because I want to replace whoever this guy is eventually with someone else. Alright, I'm going to change my mind there. We're not going to get rid of McClellan yet. We are going to get rid of Patterson, though. And we're going to replace him with Colonel Timothy P. Andrews, born in Ireland, immigrated to the U.S. in 1798. That's kind of cool, because it shows you all the things they've done. He, too, is a volunteer. So far, I've really kind of ignored West Point graduates. I want to replace people further down, too. Before we do that, let's see how our Navy's going. We haven't gone through a lot of time, so the home squadron's probably not gone very far. Oh, it is. You can see it steaming towards Virginia. That's going to be very important momentarily. As I'm looking through Sumner's army, this is the one in D.C., I see William Tecumseh Sherman's in charge of one of the brigades. Why don't we give him a friend or two? Who would we want to replace in this unit? We can get rid of this... Okay, I want to keep Richardson. He's pretty cool. Hey, this Burnside. Where's Sideburns come from? Look at those crazy eyes. I'm going to make you grow your facial hair like this, too. We're going to get rid of Schenck. And we're going to replace him with... Right now, he's commanding a unit of infantry. Probably not hard to figure out who I want to take over. We're going to put Ulysses S. Grant in that position. Eventually, Grant and Sherman, we're going to want to promote up to division and maybe army leaders. Let's see if there's anyone else I want to replace in this army. Maybe we could get Sheridan in here. I think it's your time to go, Burnside. No, wait, no. We're going to get rid of Baker. Part of the reason I'm looking at is how big these units are. Like, an army of, or I should say a brigade of 800 men, we're going to replace that as soon as we can, but that's going to be a little bit. So I'm looking at units that have more men. So let's replace Baker here. We're going to place him with Phil Sheridan. Sheridan specializes in the infantry. He is a West Point graduate and also a veteran of the Mexican War. And then I want to rearrange these. I want to make one division here that is like the strongest division we have in Virginia. And so I'm going to put our bigger brigades into it. And so all you have to do really to move them, it's a little finicky sometimes, is you click on who you want to move. So I'm going to click on Sherman here. I've been moving around. Hold it over Tyler. It will drop it into Tyler's division. Now you can see Tyler's division consists of Grant, Sheridan, and Sherman, and then we're going to put an artillery unit in there. And then we're going to create the other two divisions to be kind of similar in that they're all going to have two infantry brigades. They're pretty small brigades. An artillery unit, and then let's say you want to detach this cavalry unit from this division and leave it unattached. It's only got 261 men. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it over Sumner. I'm going to screw it, I'm going to drag it over Sumner. There we go. Now Palmer is not a part of any of these 3 divisions. Not a part of Tyler's division, Hunter's division, or Runyon's division. Palmer is now independent, but still under the commander Sumner. And we've got 1 really good division. The last thing we're going to do is we want to upgrade these weapons. You can change up the weapons. You can buy different weapons. Right now, we don't have a lot of selection on what we can buy. We will look at that in a minute. But let's give these guys the best weapons we can. So let's give Sherman. This is the cool thing. We can look through here, see what do we want to give him. We don't have a lot of choices. We're going to give him a Springfield rifled musket. Currently, we have muskets. This is what part of the reason the American Civil War was so deadly. Part of it is Americans like to fight, and we don't like to give up. The other thing is they started with Napoleonic tactics, but they were using weapons that were way more accurate than Napoleon used. So right now we're starting with a Springfield smoothbore musket. It only has a 250-yard range and can shoot about 2.5 rounds per minute. And its accuracy is poor. If you look over here at the rifled musket, similar musket, but it's got rifling now, this can shoot up to 400 yards and an additional 150 yards. It can shoot 3 rounds per minute, and it has mediocre accuracy. Suddenly you have way more range and accuracy. So we're going to give these better weapons. If I can remember how to do it. Oh, I clicked the upgrade button. There. We'll give them to Sherman. We're going to give them to Sheridan. And then we're going to give them to Grant. There are other stuff here. You can see the Mississippi rifle has more accuracy, but it has less shots per minute. The reason I'm avoiding that, I'm going to give that to someone else, is I want everyone in this division to have the same kind of rifle, because that'll be beneficial later on. So these guys all have Springfield rifled muskets. We can upgrade some of the artillery. We're not going to upgrade any of these artillery. Well, maybe this... Okay, we'll upgrade the 6-pounder to a 24-pounder. Alright, so let's go look at our other armies. Do we have any other big brigades? I guess the Army of Pennsylvania, we're going to upgrade them too. We'll give them... We'll give these guys here, this little tiny division, we'll give them the Mississippi Rifles. We'll give this division Springfield rifled muskets. The Department of the West, which is only 1 brigade. This is our one that's far in the west. They are outnumbered. We're going to give them Springfield... Oh, they already have Springfield rifled muskets. Good. We want them to have the best they can because we desperately need to get some troops there. And I guess we have enough weapons to probably finish upgrading the Army of Northeastern Virginia. This is going to be a problem for the South as the war goes on. They're going to have a harder time getting access to better weapons. And so we've already significantly upgraded the capabilities of our military, even though it won't be long before the enemy military outnumbers us. You can see they're pretty close. We have about 19,000 troops. They have 17,000. But they're currently working on enlisting a bunch more people, which we're not doing yet. We're not doing that until we get that other policy situated. Let's see how our fleet, the Home Squadron, is doing. Eventually, we're going to have them blockade the area that they end up in. The big blue circle is like their blockade range or their support range. The little blue circle is like their combat range. And we'll find that with armies too, like if we clicked on our army. So the blue range is support range. If there's another army in the wide circle, they can come and support your main army if they're attacked, but it'll take them a certain amount of time to get there. The smaller circle is your combat range circle. That's when you're going to engage. And hopefully Sumner gets this army ready to go soon, because I would like to go on the offensive as soon as we can, before the Confederacy starts to get some troops going. Ideally, I want to get the Home Squadron in a place where this blue line will hopefully reach all these ports in this area. What's this? Pendergast, is that his destination? Awesome. That's our admiral here, or commander, whatever. Okay, now he's more or less where we want. We'll just wait for him to stop. Fleets also have readiness too. Don't go into the shore! Stop! There we go. So far, things are going okay. Our biggest thing is we just need to get this military policy enacted. But that's going to take a little bit while we get the other military policy enacted. And hopefully, the Confederacy doesn't do too much to start trying to womp us. Religious unrest continues in the U.S. Factory workers are feuding. You stop that! Animosity between nationalities. Immigrants volunteering to take arms. That's awesome. Catholics willing to serve. Yay for the papists! That is good. We need all the troops we can get. Up here you can see the available volunteers and how many recruits are needed for reinforcements for units that are on short contracts. Also, we issued some more bonds there. We're going to ignore that. But you can see our bond rating having gone down. Part of it's because we're building a lot of warships. That's going to eat into the economy. Once we start raising more troops, that's going to eat into the economy. You can still see, and it will tell you, that's one thing I love about this game, is it tells you when you have invaders. I would love to get rid of these invaders. And technically, Harney could go attack them, but Harney is outnumbered by a fair amount of people. Ooh, this is for us. Military Policy 1 enacted. The Union strengthens its military. More money to the military. Navy proposes arming civilian ships. Preparations for a blockade. We've already started the blockade. The Union invests in the military. So policy-wise, we need to start getting these militia units in with long-term contracts. I don't want to start recruiting until we at least have 2-year contracts, but we're going to start on a 1-year contract. That'll take us about 20 days to get enacted. Uh-oh, the Confederates have enacted Military Policy 1. More money for their military. They're proposing arming civilian ships too. Those bastards. Oh, and you can see now... Oh, wait, what's this? Oh, they're trying... Is their fleet trying to run by our fort? Where is this fleet going? It's only 5 ships. Do we have any other fleet that's ready to go? Oh, this one's getting pretty close. Most of the ships are not ready to go yet. See, where is the James River Squadron going? It's headed south? Okay, that's alright with me. Now, technically, if I had positioned this here, and maybe I should position it here, I wouldn't be able to blockade some of the ports, I don't think. But if... You know, we're actually going to move this here. We'll keep getting these other ports, but by moving the home squadron here, if they try and move a fleet away, around again, they will have to engage with our fleet. Probably should have done that initially. We could probably get a little further to the west. Yeah, in fact, that's perfect. That's what I should have done before. Those damn bastards, they escaped. That's on me. Alright, Stringham. We're going to get your fleet ready. And then you're going to head south. And the big reason you don't see the Confederacy coming up and attacking us yet is they've got to get their armies organized, and they also have to deal with readiness. And you have a little shortcut color in the corner of the NATO symbol in the box on the right that shows you their readiness. Yellow and green is what we want if we want an offensive. What we really want is here in Sumner's army, the army of northeastern Virginia. His is going to take longer to get ready, though, because he just has a bigger army. Ideally, what I'd like to do is push forward and take Alexandria and then try and block this area to defend DC. You can also see all these orange lines. These are all the different areas supply can come from to supply that army. Alright, Atlantic Blockading Squadron, you are ready. Let us move you down to... Let's move you down here. Let's see if we can get you somewhere between Charleston and Savannah. And start blockading those southern ports. Hopefully the fleet's okay. I see a bunch of disabled ships there. Is that going to be a problem? I hope not. You're fine! Hopefully not famous last words. And then this fleet... We only have a handful of operational ships here. We're waiting for the ships that we're building to deploy, but that's going to take a little bit. And what is this? Construction completed on Fort Monroe in the state of Virginia. You can build forts too. I probably won't build a lot, but you can. The other thing we can do is look at policies. We have more policies available. I'm probably going to wait on these. Oh, Springfield rifles would be nice. That is very tempting. It's a very low-cost one. Finance mass production of Springfield armories modified and cheaper to produce Springfield rifle muskets. Before the war, some 75,000 Springfield rifles, the model 1855, were produced for the regular army. When the secession crisis started, many armories were left in Confederate hands. Oh no! The urgent need for large numbers of weapons saw the Springfield Armory simplify the model 1855 by the removal of the Maynard tape primer and a few other minor alternatives. So we're going to actually go for that. The reason we're going to do that is there's a significant range advantage, as we showed previously when we were upgrading on rifled Springfields as opposed to non-rifled ones. So we're going to put in an order for these. We're going to have bigger brigades later on. Why don't we order 3,000 to start with? And that's a place where, because we have a bigger economy, if we're smart, we're going to have advantages over the South as time goes on technology-wise. Alright, Atlantic Fleet, are you going? You slowly going? Alright, get there on your own time, bro. I'm so pissed at myself. I should have left the home squadron here and prevented that other fleet from getting away. Oh well. Here are our orders. So we can click on blockade, and now they have official blockade orders. The fleet will patrol the coast, intercepting any enemy merchant ships from going to or from their ports. All ports within the fleet's command range are affected. And that's the big blue area. We want to make sure that the Confederates can't sell stuff to England, even though they're trying to be buddy-buddy with those bastards. Slowly our fleet is creeping down the coast. Come on, Atlantic blockading squadron, get in position. We want a second blockading fleet. We want to start to prevent them from making money. Kind of thinking I should move the smaller flying flotilla down to like the Florida Keys. U.S. Army abandons Indian territory. Confederacy captures forts and tacks. Loyal tribes are on the run. Confederate advance guard ambushed. Bounty placed on Black Beaver's head. Fort Arbuckle in Indian territory. Well, that's not good for us out west. That's not our biggest concern, though. The Department of the Ohio is actually prepared to move forward? What kind of enemy positions are there down here? 1,600 in Tennessee, 2,500. Yeah, they got more people down there than McClellan's got, so I'm not going to have them push down there. I really don't want McClellan to lead anyway. He's just the stopgap right now for the moment. We can watch as the Atlantic blockading squadron is getting further down. Hopefully they have enough ships on there so they won't have a problem. Oh, no, no, no! Wait, what's going on? Oh, they sunk a ship? What? Results of the Battle of the Atlantic. The Battle of the Atlantic has ended with the Atlantic blockading squadron retreating. The engagement was honorable, with my sailors inflicting heavy losses on the enemy before being forced to flee under the weight of their ships. One ship has been sunk. You son of a bitch. String them. Don't you retreat. Don't you go back. I didn't see who he engaged there. You can see a little battle marker. You'll have those after battles. Usually you can hover over them and see what the result was. The British declare neutrality. Royal Navy to avoid American ports. Any blockades to be monitored by Admiral Milne. The Admiralty to reinforce Milne. 4,300 regular British troops in Canada. The Royal Navy is observing the Civil War. Good. Stay out of the war. It's our war. Uh-oh, the Confederacy issues letters of marque. So they're making privateering or piracy legal. They're handing out papers saying people can become pirates. The reason it's going to matter is because they're going to be attacking our shipping, which will hurt our economy. Privateering made legal. Corsairs to attack trade ships. Europeans condemn the use of pirates. Good, the Europeans don't like that. I think that'll show up here in a moment in British intervention. The price of imports and exports increasing in the north. Good, good, good. The Union calls for volunteers. 12-month contracts. Congress sanctions further enlistment. New states form regiments. Now, we're not going to start forming any new regiments yet. We are going to go back into policies. We're going to pick 2-year Militia Act. Once we get that, then we're going to start recruiting some more troops. I guess we'll wait till next time to try and get Silas. Can I just tell Silas where to go? Silas, I want you down here. You're almost there. I want you right here. There you go. I want you between Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina. Maybe a little. We'll fine-tune that when he gets there. But either way, I'll see you all next time. Hopefully before long we'll start recruiting more troops. And then, oh man, Sumner is close. We might actually be able to go on the offensive. I'm sure we could go to a little place called Bull Run. I'm sure it'll work out for us. I'll see you all next time.